So the Berry case is interesting, in something that it shows you about the history of Pennsylvania's murder statute. So you'll notice that in this case, Donald Berry was convicted of second-degree murder. And you might be saying, what was his underlying felony? Because you know that murder in Pennsylvania, first-degree murder is premeditated. Second-degree murder is now felony murder. But when you look at the date on this case, it's 1975, and Pennsylvania's law tracked along with more of the rest of the country at that particular point. So Donald Berry was convicted of second-degree murder, and he claims that the judge did not adequately instruct the jury on voluntary manslaughter. So what is voluntary manslaughter? It occurs when someone has killed intentionally, but has done so with such adequate provocation that we don't excuse their killing, but we say we can understand how you got there. You're not like every other person in this category of homicide who is intentionally killed. You did intentionally kill, but of the intentional killers, we accept that you had some reason that was not enough to excuse it, but was enough to explain it sufficiently that you don't go in the box with the worst of the bad. So in Donald Berry's case, he had heard something outside, rushes outside and finds out that his mom and their neighbor have been in a fight, and that the neighbor has struck his mom with sufficient force that it's knocked her to the ground, and he then goes and kills the neighbor. Now, we don't endorse the killing of the neighbor, but we understand it. And so the question is, what are those things? Because we're caught between kind of a rock and a hard place here. We want to punish people according to how bad they are, but we don't want to encourage people to, exert their anger on others and kill them. So the law wants to have a narrow category of mitigation when a person kills in true response to something we believe is an adequate provocation, but we don't want to open this category too wide. So the judge was not willing to instruct the jury that the striking of the person themselves or the striking of someone that you are close to, related to, like your kid or your wife, or in this case, your mom, that the judge was not willing to instruct the jury that would be adequate provocation, even if the person wasn't present. And so the jury was left with the sense that because Donald Berry was not there when his mom was struck, he couldn't benefit from the mitigation from murder to voluntary manslaughter as a result of his mom having been struck, that wouldn't be adequate provocation because he wasn't present, based on what the judge instructed the jury. And the appellate court says, no, that's actually not the case. That under the circumstances, at least of this case, when he was there, she was still on the ground, it had happened moments ago, that was sufficient proximity for him to benefit from this rule that says when someone is close to you and has been physically attacked, that your immediate response to that, which is to kill, is still bad, is still punishable, but takes you out of this category of murderers and into this category of voluntary manslaughter. The killing is still done intentionally, but it's still under this immediate provocation that we regard to be sufficient. And in this case, the physical assault on someone close that has just happened, the court says is sufficient to satisfy adequate provocation that would reduce the crime from a form of murder to voluntary manslaughter.